There were three main reasons for starting the Travelling Film Festival. One is the obvious one, which is to bring film festival films into provincial, rural areas where they'd never seen films like that before. Number two was that we never had any financial support from any government organisation, whether federal, state or city. And I saw a way of going to the federal government via the Australian Film Commission. I spoke to Phillip Adams, and he led me to believe if we try an experiment and do it for a year, then they might come to the party the next year. The third reason was that we were getting a lot of pressure from the producers of the films that were being lent to us to show at the Sydney Film Festival. They wanted those films distributed, purchased, bought by Australian distributors, and that wasn't happening very much. Quite a few distributors bought films only because we were able to say, look, if you buy it, we'll show it in the Travelling Film Festival. And in that way we started finding distribution for the films that were shown at the Sydney Film Festival. And that was the third reason, and for me it was probably the most important reason. What I'd done in the first half of 1974, I went out on a kind of exploratory tour of New South Wales to find out where the available cinemas were and where there were local councils or local media who would welcome this sort of thing. The man who owned the cinema in Dubbo said to me, I don't want anything to do with long-haired hippie-type people, so he wouldn't rent the Dubbo cinema to us. But we settled on Lismore, Armidale, Bowral, Wagga Wagga, Orange and Albury. I went on the road. It was basically just me. It's a big ask to spend all that time on the road alone, away from your family and friends. But the compensation is, of course, you're meeting lovely people in these provincial towns. When we put the program together for the first Travelling Film Festival, we were perhaps a little bit over-ambitious. We showed 9 feature films, but we also showed a number of short films, and many of them were Australian short films made by new directors, unknown directors like Gillian Armstrong. The very first screening of the Travelling Film Festival was in Armidale on Friday night of that weekend in October from memory. The film was The Cars That Ate Paris, which was the opening film for every event. Peter Weir agreed to come to Bowral, so I drove him there in the van. I think that reactions from people in those country towns differed a lot depending on the city or the town. Armidale, for example, a university town, there was a very positive reaction. Lismore, there was a very positive reaction overall. Wagga Wagga, I think, was probably the most negative reaction, and probably the smallest audience too. But I think probably looking back, it was a tough sell to try and take a program like this to Wagga, where they really would not have seen films like this. We learned a lot from that first Travelling Film Festival tour, and one of the things we learned was that we showed too many films. We showed 9 feature films and quite a few short films in that first season. So subsequently we cut back on the number of films to make it just a bit more palatable. That first tour, which was the only one that I really did personally, every session was a big success. People really appreciated that we came. They, for the most part, really appreciated the films. We got people to fill in the forms about how they enjoyed it and all that sort of stuff. And the reports that we could then take back to the Australian Film Commission were so positive that the AFC agreed to give us the money that we actually needed. The Sydney Film Festival is still going strong, stronger than ever, I think, under Nishan Moodley. and the Travelling Film Festival is still going strong. And I think that's a testament to the fact that people still love going to the cinema. Cinema's taken a bit of a knock in recent years with all the streaming channels and so on. It's easy to stay at home and watch things, but it's so much more exciting to go out and sit with an audience and have a shared experience of a film on a big screen. That's magical.